Hello and welcome everybody to our third weekly spiritual passion and poetry with Pam and all of my pleasant family and soul family who came today. I'm super excited. Today I'm really anxious, I'm amped up, and I'm passionate and in my feels. So it should be quite the interesting message today. Forgive me if I come out in a way that is bold, but today the message is really I want to deliver it with that boldness. Okay, so if you've been here before, then I'm sure you're aware that what I do is I speak on a topic, and then I'll share a poem that I think goes along with that topic that I've written afterwards. And then whoever is here and would also like to share will have the opportunity to come up and do the same. Okay, so today's topic is honor. How do we show up to honor ourselves and our true purpose on a daily basis? So what I do is I pick a past, present, and future spread. Today I am using the Shaman's Dream Oracle by Alberto Villoldo and Colette Baron-Reed. So past, present, outcome. I'm going to talk about each card. I'm going to read the message that goes along with that card from these authors' words from the book. And then after I read their message that goes along with the card, I'll stop in between and give my message that goes along with each thing. And that goes along with the theme, which is honor. So the first card in the past position is the Stranger card, or Curiosity. So the Stranger card, which is 18 is the number, or 9 deduced, is the, oh no, that's, I don't know why I wrote 18. It's 21, the Stranger. No. Wow. 53 is Stranger, deduced to 8, okay? So, starting with Stranger, here are the words written by the authors of this deck. The Other. Moving past fear of differences, curiosity, and acceptance. The stranger moves through the world in a shroud of darkness that often elicits fear, rejection, and uncertainty, as the danger of the unknown defines its very presence. Yes, there is a veil of separation between you. Look closer and summon the courage to remain open to what you might find. You may be conditioned to look only for what mirrors what is safe and known to you, refusing to entertain any concept of other, beyond something to fear. In order to broaden your world and your experience of it, you must refute the illusion that sameness is the only way. Nothing you expect externally matches up with the other, and you're challenged by your own inexperience, but don't miss the opportunity for learning. Something extraordinary is being offered to you now. If you remain curious and teachable, allow the newness to envelop you as you explore the possibilities. This is a departure from your expectations, but the stranger has come to invite you to dance in a new music, a new tempo, a new sensation that will add more dimension to you and what you create as a result. Now is the time to leave room for other points of view, other ways of seeing, with humility and grace. This is a defining moment. Take the risk. Life is like a precious diamond with many facets, not just one. It is. And if we live there, it gets easier. But that's a practice. And every day we have to make that commitment to stay dedicated to that practice, to get better. So for a stranger, here's what I wrote. Expectations are the root of all heartache, Shakespeare. Am I teachable? A question that I often ask myself, because in order to truly know myself, I must be willing to learn, even when it sucks. And sometimes I suck at that. Everything new is uncomfortable at first, and we're all being invited to get cozy with the discomfort, because everything is going to be changing much faster than we're used to going forward, and it's only going to get faster and faster. So until we learn that understanding ourselves is the way to make riding those waves fun, it's not going to be fun. And I am not saying that that means we're going to have fun all the time. I guess what I'm saying is we're learning to embrace the challenging times and utilize them versus letting them destroy us and cover us. So we need to get cozy with that uncomfortability. We all know what the definition of insanity is, yet we're all creatures of habit at the same time. This is because we are perpetually, we're pattern meets form or host. I've learned that honoring my personal truth means accepting that being like water also means letting go with humility and grace. Which leads me to the present position card. Eye of the eagle. So for me, I relate to this a lot, and I'll talk about that, but the eye of the eagle is also, I'm going to read their words, which is 18, where I started. Protection, inherent trust, and rising above the fray. The eyes of the eagle offers you the gift of foresight, the skill of looking ahead, to see the unfolding of destiny before it all manifests as reality. The eagle's extraordinary vision allows it to spot the tiny mouse from its lofty perspective as it flies thousands of feet into the atmosphere. In a similar fashion, you too can train your keen eye to discern the workings of humans. Eyes of the eagle is an invitation to witness the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the beautiful. Yet, react to nothing. Act only to further your noblest calling. The eagle flies above all creatures. When it meets obstacles, it simply rises above them. Know that you were protected. You can fly high above the judgment slings and arrows and the darts of envy from others who may not have your great wings and are still arguing with the pigeons over crumbs. Trust that you are ready for whatever fortune has placed before you, even if you feel not yet properly equipped to meet its challenges. Your willingness to say yes to spirit has nothing to do with how well outfitted you are. Hesitating, on the other hand, will suck the air from under your wings and make you lose altitude. You are called now to trust your heart and your instincts, to move fearlessly and not waver. The time is right and no harm can come your way if your motives are pure and you act courageously. I struggle with this. This is one of my personal challenges, a repetitive challenge for me. Does letting go mean accepting the things I can change? Because we're told oftentimes, a lot of times, how we deal and cope is that we have to let go of the things we cannot change. Cool. I'd like to believe I've gotten a lot better at that, even though I have this talon grip. But here's where I struggle. There are things that I certainly can change. The question I often struggle with is, should I? Will I? Is it worth it? Oftentimes, things that I want to do, or I'm passionate about, or where my heart is leading me and my soul is going, doesn't coincide with what I think everybody wants to hear. So oftentimes, I stifle myself. And instead of rising above in the ego aspect way that I'm supposed to, I choose others and everybody else's point of view over mine. Even though my knowing and my soul understanding is wise, and it never ever has led me astray, ever, when I follow it. But doing it is a lonely, lonely road sometimes. So, with that being said, here is where the part of honoring my own truth can sometimes be confusing and contradicting. I am very good at flying above all creatures as a self-existing eagle in the Mayan galactic. I tend to be able to stay in my own lane and cruise along at almost 150 miles per hour, in fact. When I do something, I do it big and I do it with precision, which also means detachment or letting go isn't a power I'm real good at yet. I get better and better every day, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning because letting go is not something I've ever been real good at. Ever. So I said to my friend, I told her earlier today, I was talking to my friend, and the metaphor I gave her was this. I said, sometimes it's very hard to be the person that you feel as if, now whether or not this is real to others, this is my reality. This is how I feel oftentimes. It doesn't mean it's real. It means it's my illusion that I've created of how I feel, right? But it is a very real feeling. And oftentimes what I feel like, metaphorically speaking, is that I am the person that will put my hand in the flame of fire that's already bleeding from holding on to the rope that I've already been trying to use to grab you out of this hell or this hole or however you want to envision it. But then, instead of letting go to save myself, I will in fact then use my other hand and do the same thing before I finally realize I can't save them. I can only save myself. That is like the most definitive idea in my mind of who I am as a person. And as far as patterns and the way that we're made, it's a very hard thing to break. Now, we'll go back to, does that mean, letting go of the things that I can change? Okay, so again, contradictions. Because I know that this is something about myself that has gained me amazing things. If I didn't have that drive to hold on so tightly to what I hold on to, well, I probably wouldn't have gained certain things or learned the things that I've learned, or as much as it drives me crazy, I know that it's part of who I am and that it's a gift in some way to me. So, again, if we're changing patterns within ourselves that no longer serve us, is that one that I should change? For me, I felt like even though I asked for a message for the collective, I knew that I was going to use myself as kind of an example for the topic today. So the fact that the Eye of the Eagle card was the card that fell in the present position, I felt like it was almost my confirmation that, yes, darling, this is who you are, right? You don't have to change this particular thing about you. You just have to learn to embrace it. Honor it. And I don't honor it. In fact, I don't even know that I acknowledge it some days. Some days, I want it to all go away. So that means I'm not honoring it. And I'm not being true to my heart. So, if I am honoring my own personal truth, that means that I must turn my tears of loneliness into wings of trust that I'm never alone. I must live in my own power and guide myself back to the embracing of the gifts I've been blessed with as Pamela Nicole Palmer Hunsinger. In this life, in this body, in this meat suit, in this moment, because it is the only time and it is the only place of now. It's a hard thing for me. I'm still really trying to embrace that idea of being present and then just, this is all we got. Because that is, even though I don't necessarily think it's that black and white, you know, I do really live in the being present, and that being an important part of all of our true path and our purpose in this life is to learn to enjoy everything, even in the crap that surrounds us. But they didn't make it easy, did they? Everything is energy. Every single thing around us, most 99, I think, percent of the things that happen around us, we don't see with our eyes. Do you know how impactful that is when you just sit with that for a moment? I'm still blown away that we still walk through life 10% conscious. 10% of our quantum computer that's in this skull of ours, we use 10%. It's astonishing to me. And it's a very hard reality for me to go, it's all right though, okay? Most days, some days, I'm real good at it, and I go, it's all about now, I'm gonna be with my kids, I'm gonna be in the sun, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then red tape happens, kids gotta go back to school, or work, or life, DMV. I don't know if you've ever dealt with DMV. It's real hard to be like water at the DMV. But in general, we must understand that we've got to be present, and we have to, that starts with honoring ourselves and learning and understanding ourselves. So I will now move on to the outcome card, which is the first breath card. So the first breath card, a fresh start and renewed curiosity, natural trust, beginner's mind. When the first breath card shows up for you, it is time to leave the old stories and tales behind. You have arrived. Take a deep breath and another. There is nothing else you need to do but take in the new world that is revealing itself around you. Trust your natural curiosity. There is no need to dwell on how difficult the journey has been or how tight the passage to get to where you are now. Just take it all in and experience the awe and wonder of your arrival at this destination. Even if it's a familiar place you have come to many times before, try to experience it as if for the first time. For you are renewed, and the old you is no longer your concern. Practice the beginner's mind, not labeling or naming what you see and experience. That situation that was so difficult only a few days ago, just be with it and breathe. You have already gone beyond it, have already overcome and resolved it, even if no one realizes this yet. Soon enough they will, as you move on. Do not squander the power of first breath giving the old narrative mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Use it for new beginnings to animate a world you can play and create in. Do not underestimate the power of your breath and the magic of the word. Be like children. We need to be like children. And I say that because as a mom, I tremendously struggle with remembering innocence, purity. And then I remind myself that the ego itself is literally about 3 to 5 years old. So 10% conscious, and the ego's 3 to 5 years old. So really, we're just a bunch of adults walking around with children leading our lives. And if they're damaged children that we haven't healed or met yet, or re-met, I should say, because our brain, it works to protect us. And when that happens at an unconscious or subconscious level, we then have to realize and kind of dig into that and see why it's protecting us. What trauma did I experience there that I didn't even necessarily know about? It's hard because seeing things through a new first breath kind of light. It seems really simple, and we should all be able to do that very easily, because that's our nature as whatever we are. Because I'm not convinced that we're human as we know it anymore. So with that being said, how do we honor this change of knowledge that we're understanding now, that we are these amazing creatures, that we have no idea, everything we've been told that's fiction is actually part of reality in some way. So what do we do with all that, right? We take it one step at a time, and we start by honoring what we feel, know, sense, and intuit. And then we use that along with our brain, and we integrate it all. And then we stand strong in our convictions. So trust, what's that? What's trust? As humans, or whatever we are, patterns are a huge part of how we move and live in this realm. Can we trust in the bigger pattern that is unseen, and trust that there's something greater that really does always have our back? This can be extremely difficult if you have ever been deceived, don't trust yourself, or if you're analytical and evidence-minded. So we have to be willing to unlearn these old, distrusting, and cyclical patterns that don't serve our true paths. But how do we do that? Honor. Something that we talk about often, but I think we also put on the back burner. Honor. High respect, great esteem. Fulfill an obligation or keep an agreement is honor. We do this by taking the path that aligns with our heart and nothing else. No matter the fears, no matter the odds, at the level of fierceness in which we would walk onto a stage of thousands of people, or whatever it is that sets your soul on fire. We do this by learning ourselves so deeply with unconditional love for ourselves and the courage and bravery to stand as firmly in our own convictions and passions as we do for everyone else's, if not more, going forward. Because truthfully, we cannot honor anybody else if we're not doing so from a wholehearted place within ourselves, for ourselves. In fact, the word selfish, I'm going to eliminate that word. I think that was a divisive word that was created because ego, they're toddlers. We're all toddlers, okay? Again, when we're living from ego, I'm guilty of it myself. We all have it because that's how we walk through life. But overall, I don't like the word selfish because anything could be negative, but I will only choose to see the positive. If putting myself first and my sanity and my family well-being, if doing things that goes against what society says is wrong, is right for me, that's honor. That's honor. That's me standing in my bravery, in my truth, what works for me, and not caring about other people's judgment because I see and understand that that is their own wound and trauma, not mine. We do this with understanding that owning our truth looks different for everyone and that that's okay, but we must know and honor these personal truths with priority and drop any limiting beliefs that doing so is selfish or that your path should look like anyone else's. It only looks like yours. And if that means that you are the oddball, or that you might get mocked, or that people are gonna fall off, or let's just be real, we could lose. Let's talk about things that really scare the shit out of us. So I could lose my business, I could lose my marriage, I could lose. We have to stop focusing on what we could lose and focus on where we're going to what we're gaining. Because the fear is what stops us. The self-doubt that's been instilled in us, or I should say, I don't even know, like it's all not ours. A lot of it is not ours. I believe the only thing that is technically ours that doesn't come from the outside world is our soul. And that's the part that's hidden. We have to go searching in the depths of darkness to find those answers, to find those truths, our truths. And then we have to take it a step further and be brave and say, this is my truth. And if you don't like it or you don't accept it, it's okay. I love you anyway. And then here's the hardest part for someone like me. Not allowing that person's opinion of my truth to then disrupt my truth, or twist my truth, or make me question my truth, or doubt my truth. So, we just honor ourselves however we can, even if it looks like a couple minutes a day. We have to start making understanding and understanding and loving ourselves priority. So now I'm just going to take this moment, and here is where I will ask you to please just take a moment and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And one more. And last one. Now, take this time in your mind's eye and ask yourself this question. How do I honor myself and my true path on a daily basis? Sit with that for a moment. Now, try to envision what that answer looks like for you. And lastly, I ask you to now take this time to set an intention to make honoring yourself and your path a priority in your everyday life. When you're ready, you can come back. Open your eyes, take your time. And I'm going to just end it up with, tonight is the full blue moon in Pisces. I did not even know that. For the first time in seemingly ever in my life, I did not follow when the full moon was going to be this month. I knew it was coming, but I had no idea that today was the full blue moon in Pisces. So, with that being said, the reason that I think that I forgot is because I am at a point in my life where I am doing everything I can to really only utilize external things as minimally as I need to, because I'm at a point where most of the things that I need, I know I'm only gonna get from right here. I have been following full moons, astrology, planets since I was about 10 years old. At this point in my life, I have so much knowledge and wisdom in here that it's clouding up this. So with that being said, I still very much honor full moons. I personally, I've had tremendous experiences that, were amplified with my spiritual journey. So for me, this is something that I stand firm in my convictions that works for me. And I gotta get better at that, because I get so caught up in the growth and the evolving that I often forget what's mine and what I actually can keep versus what I need to change. I almost change too much. Sometimes I need to just realize I'm good because I'm so willing to grow and change that it's almost stifling all in itself. So I'm going to take this time to thank Bella Luna for the full moon energy, because for me, it definitely illuminated things that I needed to see last night and today. I think the universe always, or the pattern that's unseen, because there is something that works with us and for us as long as we trust and believe that. And I thank my family, because without my family, I would not be able to be as strong as I am. I would not be able to give and share what I do if I didn't have such a powerful support system. So I thank my husband and my children and my Travis just tremendously, because they're amazing. I have a 3-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old sitting on my couch right now. You wouldn't know that. They love and support me so much, and that is what matters to me. That right there makes me go, oh, I guess I'm doing something okay. The 7-year-old isn't mine, but she's my niece. But that being said, I just love all of you. Thank you so much for coming. I had a special surprise visit today from one of my soul sisters, and it was really amazing. She came just when I needed her. So I'm very, very blessed for that, and I just feel overwhelmed with love and gratitude, as always. And honor yourselves. Honor yourselves and your path and your truth, and make it part of your day. There are so many things we make part of our day that we shouldn't. So I think that honoring ourselves should be a simple 20-minute-a-day practice for us. Okay, that's it for me. I love you. Thank you all so much. And I have my friend Hope is here, my soul sister, and she is actually going to share with us now. So I'm going to move along and let her take the stage. I'm going to trip out my way out.
Hi, I'm Hope. I met Pam a year ago when I was going through a very intense spiritual awakening, and I met her just in time because I thought I was going crazy. And in the past year, she's really held my hand through a lot of it and been very supportive and helped me grow. And I'm a little nervous. I don't speak well in front of people. My hands are sweaty, I'm shaking. I didn't prepare to come up here. I actually didn't know what I was going to talk about or if I was going to say anything until about 5 minutes before I walked through her door. But she had told me, today was about honoring yourself and your purpose here. And one of those things I struggle with is speaking up, speaking for myself. I struggle with just letting people know who I am. I've been hiding all my life, and I've been quiet all my life. And so for me, just getting up here and talking is part of showing up. I also have a quote. I'm actually going to read a passage from a book, so I'll try not to make it too long. But it's a book by Cormac McCarthy called All the Pretty Horses. And just to give you a summary, which is from Sparks Notes, by the way, it begins in 1949 with the funeral of John Grady Cole's grandfather, and he's 16. His mother decides they're going to sell the ranch in Texas and move away, but he has this dream of being one of those idyllic cowboys. He dreams of that idyllic cowboy life. So he and his friend run away. They get their horses and they go into Texas. They're gonna go gather up a bunch of horses and just live that cowboy lifestyle that is so romantic to them. But just to sum it up, along the way they face a lot of trials, a lot of tragedy, and John Grady finds himself stripped spiritually, emotionally. and materially of a lot of things. So he goes through what you would call the dark night of the soul. And one of the quotes that I'm going to share with you, it's a passage, it's pretty long. I'll try to be quick. Part of this quote is going to be in my book that I'm writing, which is about a woman who has a problem drinking, and she runs away from her life. She runs away from her husband, her family, her beautiful home, because she thinks that all the wonderful things are out there and she doesn't have them, and that she's trapped. So she numbs herself with alcohol. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this passage that is going to sort of set the tone for the beginning of my book, which was it's an inspiration to me. He said that those who have endured some misfortune will always be set apart, but that it is just that misfortune which is their gift and which is their strength, and that they must make their way back into the common enterprise of man, for without they do so it cannot go forward, and they themselves will wither in bitterness. He said these things to me with great earnestness and great gentleness, and in the light from the portal, I could see that he was crying, and I knew that it was my soul he wept for. I had never been esteemed in this way. To have a man place himself in such a position, I did not know what to say. That night I thought long and not without despair about what must become of me. I wanted very much to be a person of value, and I had to ask myself how this could be possible if there were not something like a soul or like a spirit that is in the life of a person and which could endure any misfortune or disfigurement and yet be no less for it. If one were to be a person of value, that value could not be a condition subject to the hazards of fortune. It had to be a quality that could not change. No matter what, long before morning, I knew that what I was seeking to discover was a thing I'd always known, that all courage was a form of constancy, that it was always himself that the coward abandoned first. After this, all other betrayals came easily. I knew that courage came with less struggle for some than for others, but I believed that anyone who desired it could have it, that the desire was the thing itself, the thing itself. I could think of nothing else of which that was true. So a portion of this I'm using for my part one of my novel, because essentially my story is about a woman who abandons herself, and because she abandons herself, it's easy for her to abandon her family. And of course, they say write what you know, and I, of course, experience a lot of this in my own personal life. I struggle with alcohol abuse disorder, and I think I get better with it, and I have setbacks. But one of the things that I have learned this past year, and Pam has helped me with it, is that those setbacks don't define me, that I am still a person of value, even if I make mistakes. And the other thing is that I couldn't be writing this book if I hadn't gone through all these things, if I hadn't put my family through all their misfortune. And my son is here, and I know he knows I love him and that I would never run away. But I'm writing this book because it's a catharsis for me, and I think that in me writing this book, I may be able to help other people too. So, and my son, my youngest son, he's 9. He just had a fortune cookie yesterday. I thought it was kind of funny because he hates grapes. His fortune cookie said, "The grapes you haven't tasted are always sour." So of course, sour grapes, like kind of like the grass is always greener under the on the other side. But I know that there's a lesson in all of this for me, and that I do have a purpose, and that I have a message, and I have something to say that's worth saying. So I want to thank Pam for giving me the opportunity to come up here, and I love these, and I look forward to more. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you.
Wait. You want to go up there? Okay.
Thank you so much, Hope. That was beautiful and impactful. So I appreciate that, and I just thank you. It means a lot to me. I'm speechless because this is why I do what I do. This is my payment, right? Like knowing that I have people that I affect and that affect me the same. It's a beautiful thing. And so thank you again, Hope. I appreciate you sharing, and I look forward to more shares from you. And I did forget to read my poem, so I guess I'm just gonna exit on this. It's a very, very short and sweet poem. And it's just something that I think that, you know, I guess it's more of a woman's poem per se, but I am gonna just share it really quickly and exit with this, okay? So as far as honoring ourselves, right, like it's hard for us to just talk nice about ourselves sometimes. As silly as that sounds, it's very hard. It took a friend of mine telling me to stop talking mean about her friend to realize how bad I was talking about myself. She said, I don't appreciate you talking about my friend like that, and if anybody else were to talk about my friend like that in front of me, I would punch them in the face. And I said, well, I suppose I am rather mean to myself. And that was about 12 years or so ago, and I'm still working on that. So here's my poem. She is fierce but loving. She is powerful yet gentle. She is a raven in the light. She is me, and I honor her might. She is like air with her sharp-witted tongue and the quick draw of her gun. She is like water with her flowing emotions and her heart so golden. She is like fire with her passionate eyes, her soulful grace and her fierceful rise. She is like earth with her hands in the dirt, her love for the animals, flower, plants, and herbs. It took me a long time to find this girl right here, this girl that I wrote about, this woman. Look, but I am still just a little girl inside, just as we all are children inside. And until we really learn how to nurture what we didn't get nurtured, it won't be easier. So we have the utensils to make this ride much more pleasant. Again, not saying it's gonna be easier, but at the same time I am, because life is challenges. Life is loss. Just as much as we enjoy the good, the bad is necessary, and I don't love it, but I do recognize it, and I do know that I probably couldn't have the empire that I have if I didn't have all of the negative that I have endured. So again, I don't love it, but it is necessary, and once we understand ourselves and how to start working to heal and grow that, it gets easier. All right, I love you all. I'm gonna end it here because we're all ready to eat now. My children are like, okay, shush. So I'm shushing. Thank you again. I love you, and we'll see you next week. Mwah!